Okay, today we are going to do question 1 and 2 from paper 2, which are non-fiction paper. Your learning objectives are to understand the demands and requirements of the various questions, to practice the skills necessary for success, and these skills include comprehension, synthesis of information, which is comparing two things together, analysis of language and structure, and creative writing. So question 1, I want you now to read lines 1 to 11 of source A, and I want you to choose 4 statements below which are true. Pause the video now and we will go through these in a minute. Okay, so the 4 statements that are true I have not got. So can you make sure that you check your answers, or you can submit your work to me via Teams, and I will of course check them. Okay, so what you need to do for question 2 is refer to source A and source B. Question 2 will always ask you to refer to both sources, and what it's going to ask you is to write a summary of the differences in the attitudes towards nursing. It will be worth 8 marks. So the first thing you need to do is read through both texts and consider the attitudes of each. I would suggest probably highlighting the attitudes of each when you're reading through them for the first time. So then you are going to use your highlighted quotes and decide which details within them really pinpoint these attitudes that they have. So you're going to make your quotes even smaller than they are, because you're going to be very, very judicious and select certain words that show what the attitude is. So source A is a practical, efficient devotion to nursing with patients' needs put first. And source B, concern for the well-being of the nurse, physical and mental. So what I would like you to do now is go back and highlight the attitudes of each of the authors and look specifically for those things in red and those things in green. Pause the video now and spend about 5 minutes to 10 minutes doing that. Okay, so record the quotes which best express these viewpoints in the grid below, and this will help you organise them before you're writing. So here is the grid. You need to have about 3 from each text, and I would recommend having them from the beginning, the middle and the end, because this just will support your argument. You can then tell me when I'm reading it if the author has changed their attitudes throughout. So what I would like you to do is draw out this table and just complete it with 3 quotes. I've given you 1 quote from each, so you only need to put in 2 more. So you're going to have the quote that you've selected and the attitude expressed, the quote and the attitude expressed. Like I say, try and find ones from the beginning and the middle. Pause the video and work on that for about 5 to 10 minutes. So bring the information from the 2 texts together now with connectives which emphasise similarities or differences. So skills are to select relevant information and synthesise it, which means to connect it. You're not expected to discuss language. That is only for questions 3 and 4. In source A, the attitude is, and similarly in source B, their attitude is. So there's some sentence starters for you. Whereas in source B, the writer presents the outlook that ... in source A ... demonstrates a different viewpoint. You need to synthesize the information, which means combine the 2. So I want you to go through that now with all 3 of your quotes. 3 of your quotes from source A and 3 of your quotes from source B, and I want you to write down a paragraph, well actually 3 paragraphs, each exploring both those quotes with their differences in attitude. I'm going to now pop the mark scheme from the next slide. I will talk you through this and then I want you to try and get the previous slide done. So for 7 to 8 marks, you need to show a perceptive synthesis and interpretation of both of the texts. So you need to make sure that you are referring to both texts. You need to make a perceptive inference from both of the texts, and you need to be judicious, which means you need to be very selective about which quotes you are selecting. And they need to make sure that you are relevant, those quotes are relevant, to the focus of the question you have been asked. So in this case, it is relevant to the attitude in nursing. And you need to be perceptive about those differences between the texts. So if you look at a 5 to 6 mark, it's a clear synthesis, so you've found some ways that you can connect the two. You made clear inferences from both of the texts, and you've selected clear references which are relevant still to the focus of the question, but they're just clear, they're not necessarily perceptive. You haven't made a perception on them. Okay, I'm now going to go back to the previous slide for you to fill in those gaps, if you like, with your own ideas from the 2 extracts. So you can pause the video there. Try and get 1 paragraph for each difference, and just try your absolute best. The next task should take you about 20 to 30 minutes, depending on how much longer you've got left of the lesson. So good luck.